A couple of weeks ago, I posted a poll on my channel about which topic I should cover for my next installment of We Were Warned. And this episode is not on either of those options because right after I put that poll up, I was reminded by a colleague that there was a Marian apparition that is really worth presenting before I delve into the apparition of Our Lady of Revelation, and that is Our Lady of Heede in Germany. This apparition happened in the late 1930s through mid-1940s in a, rather historic period in that country's history. And the message is worth going over. So I'm going to present that for you today to launch, hopefully, our weekend. Enjoy. The apparition of the Queen of the Universe, Our Lady of Heede, Germany, 1937 to 1945. The apparition principally concerns four young girls, sisters, Anna Schult and Margaret Gansforth, as well as Greta Gansforth and Susanna Bruns. They began receiving visits from Our Lady around November of that year, in 1937. The two sisters were going to church for All Saints' Day on the 1st of November, like good Catholics would, when they passed by the church cemetery. Suddenly, they perceived a floating light about 100 feet away, hovering about a meter or so above the ground. In the translucent, brilliant light formed the image of a beautiful lady holding a child. The two figures wore dazzling crowns on their heads. The girls were spellbound by the incredible beauty of the lady, who smiled kindly upon them. As you might imagine, they were a little bit frightened. They entered the church and reported that they had seen the Virgin Mary with the divine child, with our blessed Lord in her arms. Anna Schult, surprised and curious, left the church to go explore the designated area. After the ceremony, the two sisters, along with Anna Adele Bruns and her sister, Susanne Bruns, all returned to the site of the apparition in the cemetery. And Margaret saw Our Lady still there. She says it was there, between the two cypresses. Our Lady's image remained silent. All the girls, though, saw the Virgin Mary, except for young Adele, who impatiently stated that she was going to leave because she did not believe the stories. Margaret and Greta told their mother, who then alerted Father Stahlberg, the priest of the parish. But news of these events were received in the village with, as you can imagine, laughter, skepticism, and rejection. It was not until the villagers started noticing the dramatic change in the four girls' behavior that the villagers then began to consider that the appearances might actually have happened and that they should take them more seriously. The usual playful, giddy girls, typical behavior for young women of their age, their behavior changed and their manner of living to a more serious demeanor with fervent and long prayers while impatiently anticipating Our Lady's next appearance. On the 2nd of November, at the same time of day, Our Lady appeared again, but this time without the young child Jesus. Our Lady's hands were clasped in prayer. On the third apparition, on the 5th of November, Our Lady began asking the girls questions. Mary is standing in these visions on a white cloud with a luminous halo, about 30 to 40 centimeters surrounding her. Her age seems to be, in that apparition, she appeared like she was 18 or 19 years old. From the diaries of one of the girls, they say, she wore a golden crown, richly worked, a long white dress fitted at the waist by a cord. A non-transparent white veil falls on each side, doing some folds, and hides her hair. On her left hand, covered by the veil, sits the Christ child. She raises her arm. By the 7th of November, the apparition of that day, more villagers were beginning to believe, as 4,000 to 5,000 were in attendance, surrounding the girls. Several priests, by this point, witnessed the apparition. More than 7,000 returned to the site the next day, on the 8th of November. At this point, the civil authorities had decided to intervene and forbid Father Stahlberg from accompanying the girls. Another priest was present that day from Herkenhof and reported the following, quote, "Suddenly the four girls fell to their knees, all together, without one or another making a signal to her companions. They posed several questions to the apparition. After a quarter of an hour, during which they continued to be constantly stiff, their eyes were fixed on a precise point. Their questions seemed unanswered even when they spoke. When Greta was alongside him later, she told me that she had wondered how the Mother of God feels. The response she received was a sad countenance. Greta said, "The Mother of God was very sad and very bright." There were an estimated 100 visits by Our Lady to these 4 girls in Heede. The following are the highlights. April 5th, 1939. Margaret was alone for this apparition. She says, quote, "I saw the Mother of God directly in front of me, standing 2 feet away, and asked her how she would like to be invoked. To which Our Lady replied, as Queen of the Universe and Queen of the poor souls in purgatory. When asked what prayer she would like to honor her, she indicated the Litany of Laurentanus." May 12, 1939. The Virgin appeared 13 times in May, including twice in the initial location and for a full day on each of the 6th and 12th. On May 12th, Greta asked, "Will we have afflictions?" Mary replied, "Not yet." Then Greta asked, "Can we come here every day?" To which Mary responded, "Yes." But then the number of occurrences decreased. Many were fearful of visiting Heede because the head of state, we'll say, of that country forbade participation in such what Heede called superstitious nonsense. His enforcement group, we'll say, forcefully took the children to a facility and strictly forbade the pilgrimages. After 1 month, the children were released but disregarded the orders from that group and resumed their visits to the place of the apparitions. The Queen of Heaven was not subject to, of course, this earthly power, and continued her appearances in secret locations at this point. Greta Gonsforth received a stigmata in 1939. On October 19, 1940, Our Lady gave the 4 girls a secret intended for the Pope. Blessed Mary warned them, "Do not say anything to anyone other than the Holy Pope of Rome." The message was placed in a sealed envelope that was carried by Bishop Burning to Pope Pius XII. The Virgin also showed them visions of a future chastisement and other chastisements and warned them that a horrifying event called a minor judgment was in store for the future. She urged them to pray constantly, especially the Rosary, which she said has immeasurable power for the conversion of sinners. "The world is about to drink the dregs of the chalice of divine wrath," is what she says. Despite Our Lady's incredible beauty, she was usually solemn-faced, stern, or even shedding tears. The apparitions of the Blessed Mother came to an end at 8:30 p.m. on November 3, 1940. Each girl received a secret from Our Lady, who then spoke. "Be good and faithful to the will of God. Pray often, especially the Rosary. Now, farewell, my children, until we meet again in heaven." On July 23, 1942, Bishop Burning made the following remarks during his homily. Quote, "From Heede came a rich blessing. I could see that Marian devotion dramatically increased. The sacramental life in particular has flourished dramatically in this parish. It was then that Greta began receiving visits from our Blessed Lord himself starting in 1945. Her spiritual director gave her orders to keep a diary of these events, of course. Now, she did not see the Blessed Virgin again, but did hear her voice on numerous occasions, speaking to her from a brilliant light. There was an occasion when a school dance was being prepared, which apparently was going to exceed Catholic norms for modesty and right behavior. At the request of our Blessed Lord, Greta sought to have the dance canceled or at least modified so that it would not be a dangerous occasion of sin for the youth. Greta even appealed to the parents of the students not to go against the warning from our Blessed Lord, who stated, "If they proceed with that dance, all involved will have to answer to me at their judgment." The dance for October 21, 1945 was then canceled. Along with this event and a number of miraculous healings, other parish priests and clergymen finally believed, and rightly so. This kind of event would probably have involved sins that would never get confessed, because for most people, this does not sound like a near occasion of sin. But just think about it for a moment. Here are more of the messages, though, that Greta received from the visits with our Lord, because he visited her numerous times. Quote, "Men did not listen to my most holy mother when she appeared to them at Fatima and admonished them to do penance. Now I, myself, am coming at the last hour to warn and admonish mankind. The times are very serious. Men should at last do penance, turn away from their sins, and pray. Pray much in order that the wrath of God may be mitigated. Particularly, the Holy Rosary should be prayed very often. The Rosary is very powerful with God. Worldly pleasures and amusements should be restricted. Men do not listen to my voice. They harden their hearts. They resist my grace. They do not wish to have anything to do with my mercy, my love, my merits. Mankind is worse now than before the deluge. Mankind is suffocating in sin. Hatred and greed rule their hearts. This is the work of the devil. They live in great darkness. Through the wounds that bled, mercy will again gain victory over justice. My faithful souls should not be asleep now, like the disciples on Mount Olivet. They should pray without ceasing and gain all they can for themselves and for others. Tremendous things are in preparation. It will be terrible as never before seen since the foundation of the world. All those who in these grave times have suffered so much are martyrs and form the seed for the renovation of the Church. They were privileged to participate in my captivity, in my scourging, in my crown of thorns, and my way of the cross. The Blessed Virgin Mary and all the choirs of angels will be active during these events. Gehenna believes that it is sure of the harvest, but I will snatch it away from them. I will come with my peace. Many curse me now, but these sufferings will come over mankind that they may be saved through it. Many expiate all they can for those who curse me now. With a faithful few I will build up my kingdom. As a flash of lightning this kingdom will come, much faster than mankind will realize. I will give them a special light. For some this light will be a blessing, for others, darkness. The light will come like the star that showed the way to the wise men. Mankind will experience my love and my power. My beloved, the hour comes closer. Pray without ceasing. Those who are not in the state of grace, when the minor judgment happens, it will be frightful for them. On March 7th, 1946, Bishop Burning authorized a statue of Mary, Queen of the Universe, to be made for placement in the church cemetery, as directed by the visionaries. Finally, after years of investigation, the Bishop of Osnabrück declared on June 3, 1959, the following, quote, "The apparitions are undeniable proof of the seriousness and authenticity of these manifestations. In the apparitions and messages of Heede, we find nothing contrary to the faith. Indeed, their similarity to the approved apparitions of Fatima, Lourdes, and La Salette give good indications of their authenticity." And there you have it, the apparition of Our Lady of Heede. It's something to note here. There is right now a movement among some, what I would call traditionalists, who are trying to now claim that the consecration of Russia to the Immaculate Heart of Our Lady was in fact accomplished not by John Paul II, by Pius XII. That's a unique take, but it's now gaining some traction. This apparition would directly contradict it, and this one is approved by the Church, as you heard there at the end. So, I just want that to be out there for people to consider when they start hearing about this in the coming days and weeks, because because there's a major Catholic publication going to publish a piece by a respected Catholic author who's going to make that thesis. And Our Lady of Heede, an approved apparition of the Church, would seem to say otherwise. Let me know what you think of this in the comments below. And please, as always, pray for the Church. Follow our Lord's indications here. Pray without ceasing. I hope you have a blessed Lent. Thank you for listening. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.